Hello and thanks for joining the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Veronica Danik-Boy. Today on the program, PDP expands Kano Caretaker Committee, determined to hold on to Shekarau and his supporters. EFCC boss says no hiding place for politicians defecting to ruling party. And later on the show, police say ISIS terrorists have links in Borno IDP camps. I will be hanging out with Tunde Abaton and Asuko James. So, gentlemen, thanks for coming on the program.
Thanks for having me.
Journalist Hangout starts now. Well, earlier in the week, the reported defection of former Kano State Governor Ibrahim Shekarau from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the All Progressives Congress, APC, flooded news platforms like a deluge. This anticipated ship jumping emanated from alleged handing over of the PDP structure to Kano State to defected Senator Rabi Kwankwaso himself, a former governor of the state. But the PDP National Working Committee has resolved to expand the Kano Caretaker Committee. A statement by the PDP National Publicity Secretary Kola Ologbondiyan said the expansion is to accommodate more interests. This could be a move to appease Shekarau and his supporters. But will this stop Shekarau from taking the final plunge today?
Well, I think it is a replay of what is happening in Kaduna State. You know, in Kano State, except, of course, the fact that the APC is here to directly intervene by probably reaching a compromise with the incumbent Governor Rufai. He's running battle with Senator Shehu Sani. So I think the party, we are just beginning to know that inclusiveness and dialogue is part of what builds up democracy. What you discover is that most of these state chapters of the parties is not only inclusive to APC, but it's even PDP. Probably those people who have been holding a race in PDP in Kano State, they wanted to be in control, and they can't tolerate anybody coming from another place to hijack the thing from them. So for PDP NEC to intervene and instructing the state chapter, it means that everybody is beginning to look at the electoral value. They must have been convinced that Shekarau has some electoral value, and he's threatening to quit that party and joining the APC. It's also a point of bargaining. So all politics, either local or international, is about bargaining, it's about interest, and it's about people trying to use their position to bargain for something they wanted. It's not about the people per se, especially the kind of politics we play in Nigeria, but about the personal interest of the so-called leaders. So if at the end of the day, they succeed in persuading Shekarau to stay back, and he stayed back, it means everything is a confirmation of the fact that everything is not about pursuing the interests of the people, but you can join any platform. In an era where there's no ideology, all the parties, in terms of manifesto, in terms of composition, in terms of leadership, the difference between them is different between six and half a penny.
Just the names, perhaps.
Just the name. So what it means is that it is happening all over the place. And I think the PDP, they are just trying to be inclusive and trying to hold fast to what they have, because a bird at hand is worth more than 1,000 in the bush. A Shekarau must have had some electoral value, which, if they allow him to go, will be to the detriment of the party.
Asukwa, the fight for the soul of Kano State getting intense from what it seems right now. But then, inclusiveness, as he has said, can all the interests of everyone really be taken care of?
It is not possible. Even if you look at Shekarau as a person, his movement he was formerly part of the people that brought about the APC merger, because it was part of the Buhari in the AMPP, AMPP, APP and AMPP. It was even because of Buhari that he won an election against this same Kwankwaso. When many people thought it was going to be an easy ride for Kwankwaso, but he defeated Kwankwaso. You understand? So if you look at it, we are talking about the interest. It will be very difficult, because all the time, Shekarau has always been on this side when Kwankwaso has been on this side. Now, both of them are together. They don't work together. They have never worked together. It was even this same Kwankwaso that demoted him from being a key member in the cabinet office to a classroom teacher. You understand? So they've always had this loggerhead. So if the PDP is able to bring them together, it will be for some certain reasons. Just like Tunde said, those reasons I'm very sure has to be in black and white. You have to tell me what I will gain from this. It's not about the people. They might have their own supporters, but this time around, they have to write it in black and white. Am I going to be the one to, if you are going to take the, if you are going for the presidential ticket, am I going to take the senatorial? Am I going to also have members who will be in the House of Assembly? So things, there are some things they'll have to put on ground for them to be able to work together. Because as it stands now, I don't see both of them working, except this Shekarau that I know that both of them, that he loves, is a populist like Buhari in Kano. And Kwankwaso is the other side of Shekarau. So it will be very difficult for both of them to work together. And if PDP is going to bring them together to see how they can work together, it will be very difficult. Because look at even what happened. He was in the PDP, and Kwankwaso moved to the PDP. Yeah. And immediately, why he actually left the APC was because that Kwankwaso was given the party structures when he came from the NPDP to the APC. The same thing is happening. He's in the PDP, and then Kwankwaso moved from the APC to the PDP, and they now took all the party structures and gave it to Kwankwaso again. So that is why we are having this issue, and it's threatening to leave the party. So if you look at it, the PDP will have to work extra hard, because... So
you don't see them, you don't really see him staying back?
It will be very difficult, because they say once beaten, twice shy. Yeah. You know, once beaten, twice shy. That is what you'll be looking at. If they've done this to me, when I was here, and they are doing it again, what assurance can you give me that they won't do it over and over and over again? Now, the PDP guys have already, gone to him. That is why they're expanding the ESCO, so that the 60%, Kwankwaso has 60%. 6 of the caretaker committee members are from members of the Kwankwasia. And it means that they are just left with 1. And this is someone that was a leader of that particular political party. So they are trying to expand it. Maybe they will expand it to 12 so that he can bring more members. So, but even if they expand it, would they also give him the leadership role in the party? Because
would he be able to determine
certain things? Will it be all about the Kwankwasia movement and not about the Shekarau movement?
So from what Asuko is saying, do you see this Kwankwaso and Shekarau coming back together? Do you think that it can stand the test of time today?
Well, I think we have to look at the fundamentals, the attitude of the two parties to these two people. It has become established that the primary thing is interest. And where there's a clash of interest between the individuals, the party will have to weigh its option very well. What it means is that the party will become an object of blackmail. Because it means if you don't give me this thing, I will move to that. So by the time it's like a woman or a man who is fond of always threatening the wife. If the other person outside knows, he knows that by the time you take this woman in, or by the time you take this man in, it means the same thing is going to hold, because the interest of that person has not changed. So I think it is a problem with the kind of politics we play in this country, where personal interest that borders on power and money plays a role. So I can't see in any situation the kind of political class we have in Nigeria. That is why you see people moving from party A to party B in the morning, around 12 midnight. By 5 a.m. in the morning, they have changed parties. People change parties as if they are changing napkin, as if they are changing underwear for children. So what it means is that we'll continue to experience this thing until we really go back to the politics of ideology. And how do we go back to it? In a country, in an underdeveloped country where 90% of the business of the day is run by government. People want to get to government because they want to feather their nest. So it's not about ideology. We'll continue experiencing this kind of thing, all the parties. Because now, right now, we see somebody has been dubbed a corrupt person, leaving even PDP. The moment he gets to APC, you welcome him. It means people are being used to further some other interest, not necessarily. So it is the same thing all over. We continue experiencing it all over.
All right, but let's look at some issues in the statement, Asuko. According to the publicity secretary of the party, says that it's also to bring about good governance while putting in place a machinery to hedge the infiltration of fifth columnists in the party's fold in the state.
If it's good governance, I don't see that. It can't be good governance now, because Ganduje is doing his work and is doing well. If you're talking about good governance. So let them forget about good governance for now. Let them talk about how they want to win, they want to remove Ganduje from there.
From Kano.
It's not about good governance. It's just that they want to remove Ganduje and then make sure that the president does not have that number of votes in Kano. So good governance is not the problem. You understand? It is all about interest. They just want to remove Ganduje,
but
then make sure that the president doesn't have that number.
They can cut down that number.
Exactly.
But with this move by the party, do you see them achieving that?
No, this is it. Kwankwaso and Shekarau coming together might see them moving closer to bring down the number. If they will win Ganduje, it depends on what the people want. You know, when it comes to politics, the people in the north, they might not be in quotes, sophisticated, but they are aware when it comes to, they know who they want. They are not easily bought over. Yeah. You understand? They know who if this the person they want to vote for, they will all go out for the person. It's not about talking big grammar. They already know who they want. So, and all of them, they have this alignment. When once they are for the Kwankwaso, they are for him. When once they are for Ganduje, they are for him. So, PDP cannot tell me it is because of good governance. It is because they want that seat, that Kano seat. That is what they want. So, that is why they are aligning, they are making sure that Shekarau doesn't leave. So that the combination of the two of them will be able to give them what they want in Kano.
How about the fifth columnist that they are trying to protect the party from?
The fifth columnist, except they want to say is the president is the fifth columnist. Because there's no fifth columnist. They are thinking that they are fifth columnists. But the fifth columnist might be the governor, in quotes. The governor is also trying to make sure, he's trying to woo back Shekarau to his side. And he will do everything humanly, politically possible to bring back Shekarau to his side. Yeah. Because he knows that a Shekarau coming is a major factor in Kano. He was a governor for 8 years in Kano. And he understands the dynamics. He understands the people. The people also love him. Imagine I remember when he was taken to court some months back, the whole Kano shut down completely. You know, the police had their hands full because this is someone that so many people were saying, why are you prosecuting this man, in quotes? You know? So, Ganduje knows that if he has a Shekarau, both of them, they know, Kwankwaso as well as Ganduje, they know that. So, Shekarau is just like the beautiful bride. Any of them that gets him knows that he's itching towards his victory.
All right, there is a demand that the party is making in the state. It's talking about ensuring that all court cases against the party are withdrawn in order to bring everybody together. Do you see that happening?
Well, I think if the party has a collective interest and they are determined to get that interest, party members, if they have a collective interest, not personal interest, because everything is determined, the decisions and any position takes at any point in time in Nigeria is determined by its own far-reaching personal interest. But I can see something between the line. Actually, when you look at the votes of the Northwest has about 80 million votes, and Kano alone has about 5 million registered voters. So while the PDP is putting its pressure or the Northwest is that to reduce the propensity of the President Buhari, to have much more dominance. It's not as if any of them can defeat him. But if they are able to reduce that particular dominance in the presidential election, he will still have more votes than them. During the governorship election, if they zero it down, the combination of Kwankwaso and Shekarau may be able to tilt the support of the party in favor of the PDP. That is what they are looking at. Because up to today, besides Northwest, Southwest is also another area that has 40 million votes. So in 2019, Ganduje has promised to deliver probably more than 90% of that particular votes. So the owners of the party they are trying as much as possible, like he said, to reduce the influence of the Northwest. Mind you, some people in the PDP have started saying that it will be more reasonable and politically reasonable to pick the presidential candidate from the Northwest. In other words, you know what they are telling others. They are telling, like Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and some others who are not from the Northwest, that look, your job is at stake. So if that is the case, they also want a presidential candidate that will be able to face the president from the Northwest, because the Northwest seems to be the most dependable of the power of the president. So that is why the attention is there. And I think they will do everything humanly possible to sink them. But if it is the personal interest that is at stake, I keep on saying it, that is at stake, they will not succeed. But if it is the interest of the party to get the bigger cake up, if they can sink their interest,
which is the presidential.
If it's the presidential, then they will be able to reduce the influence of the APC, especially during presidential election. Thinking that during governorship election.
If you could just quickly hold the thought. We have Umar on the line calling from Lagos. Go ahead with your contribution, Umar.
Hello.
Yes, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Go ahead with your contribution.
All right. Thank you very much. What I want to say is that serious, can you hear me? Serious, I'm very, very happy, as that man say. I'm from Kano State, and I'm living here in Lagos. But I know the governor of Kano State is doing well, and he's trying his best in Kano. But the problem is they wanted to Ganduje and Shekarau and the Kwankwaso to know that, fundamentally, to remove Ganduje from the office is not because he's not doing well for us, because the man is trying his best right from where Kwankwaso stop and continue 100%. But not because of they want to join Shekarau and the Ganduje and the Kwankwaso to get the power. No. It's because of only that man they can't join. After, and I know definitely you not go reach what they want, them go divide themselves. I'm definitely now, I don't think that Shekarau will continue follow Kwankwaso to the end. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Umar, for your contribution. All right, go ahead.
Yes, I think, like I said the other time, Northwest will be the rallying point, because beside the votes of the South-South, right now the strength of the PDP as a party and the source of funding is coming more from the southern part of the country than the Southeast. And when you look at the total votes of the Southeast, it's not more than 7 million. It's not even up to
Lagos
half of what we have in
just
the
Lagos
Southwest.
alone. Just
Lagos, the whole of the Southeast. So their best bet is to reduce the influence of the APC in the Northwest. If they succeed in doing that and move up Northeast and North Central, where there are more Christians, the kind of voting pattern we witnessed in 2015. If they can do this all over the place, then they will be able to. Their target is not necessarily to win the governorship of Kano State. I'm telling you, their target is the presidency. And they are putting everything that has to be done, including getting some people to compromise. And this is why they have started sending signals to some people that, look, we are picking. So all these latter-day declarants, like the Senate president, former Senate president, they are just trying to swing their position. They are trying to bargain, because they know where the strength of the party lies and where the focus is likely to be. So all of them, I can't see the PDP picking anybody outside the Northwest.
I think it will even be suicidal.
It will be suicidal. Picking anybody outside the Northwest is not possible. All these people are fringe declarants. They don't have any hold on the party.
Okay, now it mentioned in the statement, still looking at the statement made, it mentioned that the Kano state should emulate Benue, where, you know, they resolved issues concerning the party structures of the state and they were able to harmonize and work things out. Now, Benue State has its peculiarities, just as Kano does. But then when you look at both issues, can it really work out? Well, we have tried to touch it, that the possibility of both Shekarau working with Kwankwaso is not certain. But
it's not certain.
Looking at the structures, the battle for the structures of the state, can they really put aside their pride?
I doubt it.
Looking at what is at stake.
You see, if you look at political, if you want to talk about ideologies, both of them, Kwankwaso and Shekarau, they have two different ideologies and beliefs. That is one. Now, if they are going to put aside whatever their beliefs are and whatever the ideologies are, and it's okay, we want to take that presidency, I still believe and I know that they have to do everything in black and white. Because there's no... The politicians of nowadays, even if you tell them, that maybe that is why even the Osun State, for instance, I heard the PDP actually, they had to start signing. So
how was it that Benue was able to work things out so easily?
Benue, David Mark is going for presidential, you know, and I think what David Mark is seeing himself as now a leader. So what he wants to do is, okay, fine, Otom, I want you to continue. You understand? I want you to continue just do the job, because I believe that you have come of age. And then, don't forget, then they had a George Akume.
Okay, just hold the thoughts. We have Obina calling from Lagos. Go ahead, Obina.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah, good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Go ahead with your
contribution. Please, my statement is directed to Mr. Sukwo. Mr. Sukwo, for you to say that the PDP interest of taking Kano State is not for good governance, I think that's a very wrong statement. I'm biased of you as a journalist. Sorry, I'm not trying to discredit your comments, but for you to say PDP, they are just doing it not for the sake of good governance, but for the sake of overthrowing Ganduje. Yes, you might be right, but using the word that is not for good governance, I think that is very biased. Please, thank you very much.
Thank you, Obina, for your contribution.
I have my reasons for it anyway. So I have my reasons for it.
All right.
Because it's from what I get, you know, as a journalist, you know, that is what I'm saying is not for good governance. It is all about personal interest. Everything that is thrown at Kano today is about interest. They can't tell me, PDP cannot tell me, it's because they have, who do they have? The person they want to bring out is the former deputy governor, who is from the Concosia side. And are you saying that the deputy governor who left his office and went to another party, he left his own party, he left his principal because he thinks of he's talking about good governance? It's not about good governance. Everything is about interest. And that is what we are trying to say here. Everything they are doing for Kano now or towards Kano is all about interest. They shouldn't say good governance.
All right, back to what you were saying earlier before.
Yes, I was saying something about George. You know, then they had a George Akume, they had Gabriel Soswan and co. All of them in the same one party, you know, until they started splitting, having some in APC, some in PDP, you know. So now, David Mark has saying that, okay, Otom can do it. And if he feels that Otom can lead the party, why not? That one is a gentleman agreement. You understand? But now we have a situation whereby the gladiators are big men on their own. They can hold their own. We have a governor who has been there for 8 years. We have like 2 different governors, 3 sets of people who have their own supporters and camps. 2 of them, they've been there for 8 years each.
All right.
And then we have a sitting governor. So it will be very difficult for anybody to wish any of them out because they are all important.
All right, your final take on this topic.
Well, I think basically when we do a comparative analysis of what the situation in Benue and Kano is different. In Kano State, none of the two combatants are in power. They're only in politics and they have followership. But in Benue State, whether anybody wants to be presidential candidate from that area has to deal with the governor. Because the governor is still in government, is still in power. So probably David Man has nothing much to offer rather than to parley along with the governor. But in the situation where the scenario is different is that the two Ganduje, Kwankwaso and Shekarawa, they are not in power. They are only interested in getting power. So it is in their own collective interest to sink their differences and come together. If they are defeated this time around, that would be their end politically in that state.
Quickly, Asuko, your final take.
So we just want to watch and see because I know Shekarawa has been saying is all that what has happened is because they lack internal democracy. So for PDP to move ahead and want to see that they take over Kano, they must ensure that Shekarawa is pacified and is given all that he wants.
All right, let's move on now. When we return, EFCC boss says no hiding place for politicians defecting to the ruling party. Stay with us. Well, power, they say, is the ultimate aphrodisiac that attracts like magnet. Since its rise to power, the APC has continued to attract politicians into its fold. But this fuels insinuations in many quarters that the defecting politicians do so to escape the hammer of corruption charges against them. But acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Ibrahim Magu, has a different idea. At a parley with editors here in Lagos on Wednesday, the EFCC boss said politicians switching from one party to another will not be shielded from prosecution. The next line of action is for Magu to walk his talk. Now, does this statement from the EFCC boss really put to rest any of those allegations of maybe politicians moving from one party to the ruling party for protection?
Well, until he allowed the law to be tested by actually arranging all those people who thought that by identifying with the ruling party.
But he talked about two governors, Jolly Yami and
the cases of those two governors have been on before he assumed office as the chairman of the EFCC. So relatively, the only thing he can do now is that all those people who are found guilty, who are being suspicious of having anything to do with corruption from the inception of this government to now should be arraigned, irrespective of who you are. But in a situation whereby we are in an election mode, whether you like it or not, between now and the next 5 months, all the parties are looking for members who can switch victory in their favor. So I wouldn't take what he has said with all level of seriousness. There is politics in everything. So until he walk his talk and arraign 1 or 2, 3 people. Okay, the election should not stop anybody from taking people to court. Any of those people
or being investigated
to court. So election should, if those persons are not people who are directly involved in the electoral process. Anyway, he said about 2 months ago that all those people who have one case or the other to do, they will not be allowed to contest election. So until he's able to put that word in practice. But I know that most of those people who are moving from one party to the other are doing so not necessarily because they want to contest election, but necessarily because they want to hide somewhere so that they can be.
So are political parties now acting as a cover for these politicians?
I think in the kind of setting we have in Nigeria, people can do anything to get votes, to get to power.
Or they use that as an avenue to launder the funds?
It could be that. It could be that because if you put your money on ground for somebody to win election, it is normal that they say in my place that when you eat from somebody's plate, for you to talk, then you do something like, you feel so reluctant. You cannot talk to your man, having compromised yourself by eating. So the thing now is that, would the EFCC be able to walk the clock? Because the most important thing is not a statement of intent that matters, but it is the practicability
of that statement.
of that particular statement. Has he been able to practicalize it? Will the ruling government, if they are interested, because before you can allow anybody to come into your party, the person must have been of a particular interest, an asset to you. If the person is not an asset to you, there is no need for celebrating the entrance of that person to that party. That's why I'm saying that we are in election mode, celebrating the entrance of somebody, like now, Idoia now, in Delta State. He did everything possible to make sure that all the opponent in 2002, to make sure that he got the PDP there. And now those people that he hounded when he was governor for 8 years, he has now gone back to join them. So what it means is that all these things is about interest. All those people who are moving from one party to the other, in the interim, they just want to be shielded away from the EFCC. But the EFCC should not convince Nigerians that they can walk their talk by arranging all these people in the court of law to answer for what they have done.
Let me ask Asuquo, perhaps Asuquo would know if the EFCC can walk their talk.
No, it depends. It depends on the caliber of people that they want to arrest or they want to prosecute. Because I know from investigation and from what Margo said, they've not even done 10%
of what they're supposed to do.
What they are supposed to do, 10% of even the past corruption cases, We are not talking about new ones, because most of the governors and the politically exposed persons that they are trying to prosecute, they've not. He has not been able to.
Okay, just quickly hold the thought. We have Polycarp calling from Lagos. Go ahead, Polycarp. Good afternoon. Go ahead with your contribution.
I want to make contribution concerning this particular topic. Yes, we are in an election period. And I want the chairman of, artist chairman of EFCC, not only to tell us that the crossover of every politician to either of the parties will not forestall the prosecution. We want to see the action on what he has just said, because perception is very important in everything. Judging by what we read from the news concerning the former governor of Afribo, in as much as we would not say for sure that the allegation against him is true or not, but one could say that the withdrawal of the petition or what the allegation, now that he has defected, can send the wrong signal, because all this time the allegation was on board. It is expected that those people who are in charge, who have withdrawn it now, ought to have come up with this withdrawal. But for the fact that he has defected, and now they are saying that the allegation is false, could send the wrong signal too. So we want the acting EFCC to make sure that whatever he's telling us is put in practice.
Okay.
Thank you, Polycarp. Yeah, go ahead.
No, just like you said, we need him to walk the talk. It's not something that you just say, from whatever is written on the script, and then, because Nigerians need more people, more of these politicians who actually dip their hands in the commonwealth of their states or our commonwealth, to be prosecuted. Let's see if Margo will be able to do it. But Margo has been complaining. One, he has been complaining about maybe the courts, for instance. That most times they take these cases to court, and then the court will free them. They are not the ones that freed these people. That is the courts. Now, also, you also have to ask him that, okay, fine, what kind of evidence
were you able
have
to substantiate?
To substantiate that these people actually stole this money. Then, apart from that, he also has to remove the media, because sometimes you bring these people, and once you are taking them to court, it turns to a media trial.
But he's asking for media support.
Of course, once you begin to... One thing about Nigerians which I have noticed is that once you say somebody is being questioned in the EFCC, they just assume that that person is guilty. you know. So, but they can do this without the media knowing. You understand? Without the media knowing. Even if we want to know, it shouldn't be on the faces of everybody. We want to know, yes, but does the EFCC have enough evidence to prosecute these cases? He also complained about the banks. Yes, with that one, I give him pass mark for that, because there is nothing that will happen in the states that the banks will not know about.
Be aware of, all right.
You understand?
Quickly, we have Benjamin on the line calling from Osun State. Go ahead with your contribution, Benjamin. Benjamin, are you there? All right, do call us back as soon as you can establish contact with us. Now, with the general elections fast approaching, he says that resistance to investigations has assumed a frightening dimension. That's Magu speaking now. Why is that so? Because he says that whenever they try to do so, it's like they call it persecution. The politicians will begin to say they are being persecuted.
Well, I think the most important thing for Magu to do is, if you are sure of your facts, and you are sure that you have done your investigation before coming out to the public. You know, I had a very little experience with the civil service system. If you are accused of stealing something, before the civil service, you are handed over to the police, they will have concluded their investigation. It could take 3 months. They will set up internal committee. They will do a lot of things. Before the person is handed over to the police, they will have concluded their investigation. The onus is all the courts in Nigeria today. What they are interested in is beyond reasonable doubt. If it has to be beyond reasonable doubt, then you have to do your work. You have to do your homework before even inviting the media. But in a situation whereby you just rely on hearsay or flimsy reasons, and you now announce to the whole world that somebody is an accused, by the time the person is set free, he will not only take you to court, he will take the media to court, and he will shame the whole process. So the most important thing for Magu is that it's not about whether people are accusing you. If you are sure of your facts, and you can even arrange somebody a day before election, so far you are sure that you are doing so because the person is likely to be found guilty. You have your facts. But when you don't have your facts, then it means that it's more or less a parade, a charade. People are just being paraded for some ulterior motives. But if it is not ulterior motive, anybody can be summoned by the EFCC. But let the EFCC do their own work before going to the media, especially the media. Let them do their own work and be convinced that they have all facts that can be proved beyond every shadow of doubt. That is another language they use. Let them prove it. The courts are there. The lawyers are there. And I think that the prosecution process, because if you are the one taking an accused to court, the onus rests on you to prove that you have enough reason to jail that person. But the onus also rests on the accused to have a lawyer that will puncture your argument. So if the FCC has not done its own work, or the prosecutors have not done enough investigation, somebody can be investigated for 10 years. I don't think the FCC, they are too much in a hurry to impress Nigerians. And at the end of the day, most of these high-profile cases, they have lost most of them because they have not done their own work. And those people that you are talking of, they have enough. You know, in Nigeria, the cost of justice is very high. If you are a poor man, it is easier for you to be jailed.
Yeah.
But when you are a man of means, it is also easier for you to prolong the judgment because you have enough money to take care of all the interests, from the lawyer to the police.
All the sons, you can get all the sons.
We have Andrew on the line calling from Lagos. Andrew, are you there? All right, Andrew, do call us back as soon as you can. Now, perhaps with the zeal with which the Commission wants to achieve the government's fight against corruption, maybe they haven't really understood how to really go about this to ensure the desired result that Nigerians need to really, really see. Asoko.
We know that the government is really doing well. They really want to fight this corruption, we know. But we want them to do it well, because there's nothing as bad as people accusing other people of being corrupt when they are not, particularly when they go through the court process and everything, and eventually they are not, they free them. And another thing is, it's also very painful when you know that somebody actually dipped his hand into the public wealth, and eventually you saw the person, and eventually when they take the person to court, the person is freed.
Because you couldn't prove.
Because they couldn't prove, you know. So that is where Nigerians sometimes doubt.
Perhaps that's the aspect.
That is just the proof. That proof is the major problem. So that's why most Nigerians, when they say, they have caught one particular politician, they'll say how many, you know. Yes, they have been able to, jail some, like 2, Jolly Nyame and Joshua Darie. But Nigerians believe that there are more. Just like Polycarp, I think, was saying something about a governor who moved to the APC. Eventually, they removed a petition against him. There's nothing stopping the EFCC from going back to that same case, even though they've removed that petition.
Let me just take Andrew calling from Lagos. Andrew, go ahead. Andrew? Andrew, are you there? All right, as soon as you can, do establish contact. All right, go ahead with your contribution, Andrew.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Just a minute, today. Hello?
Hello,
Yes,
go on.
Go ahead.
Yes, I want to believe that at this particular point in time, no, if they have any
Andrew, we can hardly hear you. The lines are muddled up. Maybe you call back.
All right. Maybe I'll call back. Right.
All right.
All right.
So the thing is, there's nothing stopping the EFCC from, even if they write a petition and they withdraw the petition, nothing stops the EFCC from going ahead, because we believe they are investigators. They can go ahead and look at those books. I know of a particular lawyer, for instance, who has been on the case of this, the former Akwa Ibom State governor, who has accused the governor of stealing billions of naira. All the EFCC needs to do is to call him up. Do you have evidence? As in, good evidence that we can nail this person. The person is in APC, but we can still prosecute. The EFCC must have the will. Now, this is another thing. They must have that will. Magu must have the political will, all the will that he wants. He must have it to be able to look at somebody in APC and say, okay, fine, we heard that you have done this, you have done that, and we have proof, and take the person to court. Nigerians want to see the EFCC that will be a bulldog that can bite, not a bulldog that will just be barking.
All right.
You understand? That is what we really want. Because by the time you put like 5, 6, 7, 8 former governors, and even the ones that want to leave, they will know that, before they leave, their books are accurate, and then they didn't steal people's money. Everybody will now sit up. But by the time you just allow these people to come and go, and later you start taking them to court and allowing the media to splash them on, on the pages of, on the headlines and all that, eventually they will go to court, just like Tunde
It makes
said.
a mess of the fight.
Exactly.
All right, Tunde, your final take, please.
Well, I think, like I said, the government also have to try as much as possible to convince Nigerians that there's no ulterior motive in revving up the EFCC just 6 months to the general election, where the EFCC itself too has to do its own work very well. There's no point in a prosecutor filing a case that he knows very well that he has not done his own work.
Okay. Moving on now, from time immemorial, enemies have employed the tactics of infiltration or spying for the purpose of acquiring secret information or causing damage to opponents. The war against insurgency in Nigeria's northeast is suffering such fate. We hear that terrorist organizations have infiltrated some parts of these war-ravaged areas. These police in Borno State say Islamic State of West African province, ISWAP, which is a faction of the Islamic State in Syria, ISIS, has spies operating from internally displaced persons, IDP camps in the state. An assistant commissioner of police in the command, Ahmed Bello, explained that 3 of the 22 Boko Haram insurgents arrested 2 months ago were members of ISIS. Are we having another crisis on our hands?
Yes, really. You see, I think there's something that we have to accept. The Middle East, as we know it, Palestinian, Israel, and other things, that zone is a permanent conflict area. Nobody can stop that conflict. I think the insurgents and those people who are behind all these killings and extremism, they have succeeded in exporting their antics to Africa, especially the Horn of the West African sub-region. And one thing we have to know is that with the pervasive level of poverty that we have in Nigeria, especially in the northern part of the country, it is becoming increasingly clear that you cannot remove that thing. We can only reduce the intensity. Because I'm telling you, it is poverty that is making them to have a lot of recruits. Poverty is helping them to get more recruits. When there is pervasive poverty, ordinary 5,000 or 10,000 naira will convince somebody that he has no reason. But a young man that left school for years, he has no job, and he has a prospect somewhere, he will not even have a value for his life, because there's an extent to which you value your life before you can decide to take another person's life in the process. So when there's no value for personal life, people will be easy recruits for all these people who are looking for ways to extend their terrorism to Africa, to West Africa. So the thing is that the government has to accept and be convinced that it is a thing that has come to stay with us. Then how do we deal with it? We have been saying it as
how do we chase it away?
By making sure that we get enough intelligence. We spend more money on intelligence gathering. Intelligence gathering can be preemptive. When you have your intelligence, then you can preempt strikes. But that you can wipe it away completely, I think it is impossible.
All right, but Asukwa, this is a major source of concern, and
You cannot wipe it away.
you know the effort that the military or the security operatives have been, you know, the work they have been doing in the northeast. So how much of a blow is this to the efforts so far?
Is going to be extra difficult for us to win this war. Very, very difficult, because if you look at it, the worst is having spies within a terrorist prone area. That is the worst. Spies that are terrorists. Because ISIS, they are terrorists. We have all seen how their modus operandi, how it is. It is terrible. And no wonder we've been seeing these attacks in the past few months, attacks inside the IDP camps, not knowing that they have really infiltrated.
Where vulnerable people
Very vulnerable. And these are vulnerable people who are already vulnerable to everything that you can think
defenseless.
of. You know, poor living condition, they are not in their homes, they don't even know how tomorrow will look like, how the future holds, you know, poor infrastructure, even within the IDP camps. And even now, the humanitarian aid workers, they are also concerned, because they are the ones down in harm's way right now. Because they don't know anything. They just want to help. Because once this blast happens, they are the ones that are always at the receiving side. And if you look at it now, it's very, very sad, because even the military can only do what they can. They can't do everything. That is why the government will now start looking at how they can improve the intelligence gathering mechanism, either for the military or for the operation itself. The spies have to be identified. But how do they, anyway, if they are from outside, they will know. But what we have noticed now is that the IDP camps is not only one particular region, because some people from Cameroon also move into those areas, into the IDP camps. Some people from Yobe, sometimes they move. Once there's a particular problem or attack, they move. You know, even though they have tried to classify everybody there, so A, B, C, and all that.
Porous.
So it has made the camps very, very porous and prone for all these attacks and infiltration. So the government will say they have to spend extra money to be able to get good intelligence gathering officers. Not just ordinary people, but good ones that will give them the right information for them to be able to tackle these spies. Because if not, we will continue having these attacks inside the IDP camps. we've had so many things about this IDP, especially the Borno camp, for instance. Borno has the highest number of IDPs. Even though the governor is trying hard to see that, okay, those areas, those local governments that were, destroyed by the insurgents are being rebuilt, and so that he can return some of them back home. But they still have the highest number.
All right, let me come to you today. NEMA, that's the National Emergency Management Agency, is saying that it has concluded plans to repatriate about 56,000 IDPs in Borno to Niger Republic because of the same insecurity concerns.
Well, I think it all borders to one thing. We have a lot of unmanned borders in all parts of Nigeria, especially in the northern part of the country. If these people are able to beat our security system by declaring themselves, first of all, they are not illegal immigrants. Secondly, they claim to have been displaced, which means Nigeria is now at the receiving end of all the IDPs all over West Africa. That is the danger. So the danger there is that we have to do more work of ensuring that our internal security system, especially the borders, is manned. Yes, you can cite reasons of the ECOWAS protocol that allow free movement of people within the sub-region. But then, the survival of the country is dependent on the security network put in place. You cannot throw out your company. You cannot throw open your country because you want to be the big brother of Africa, and here you pay more money. Look at how much we have spent, apart from the human casualties, how much we have spent on rebuilding the northeastern region of the part of the country. So it means that all hands must be on deck to ensure that it is the really internally displaced people from Nigeria that get admitted into the IDP, not internally displaced people from West Africa. And you know how long it took the federal government of Nigeria to get the conviction of West African states like Mali, Niger, and Chad to contribute to the multilateral task-keeping force. So all these things are interwoven. So what we have to do is we have to look at it from many angles. In terms of immigration, in terms of Minister of Interior, forget, most of these people, like the northeastern part of Nigeria, you can hardly distinguish between somebody from Niger, Chad, and Mali. Most of them look alike. So that is the first defeat for immigration officials. They are defeated because they are alike. So the moment immigration officers are defeated, every effort being made by the government here to take care of that thing, of the displaced people in their territories, is a nullity. So we have to work more on ensuring internal security before we can look at West Africa. And our internal security is also dependent on how we can man our borders, irrespective of whatever protocol that we are trying to observe for economic integration of West Africa.
It's also cool because we need to wrap up.
Yeah.
You spoke about aid workers and, creating a safe environment for them is very key. How do we go about this in the light of all of this happening?
I think nobody wants to lose those who want to come and help us. So that is one thing the government must know. This IDP camps was not what they created. It is just circumstance. And these aid workers are also trying to help us so that we move out of these big circumstances. So now the government must find a way to secure the aid workers to help these IDPs so that once all the places that have been destroyed are rebuilt, they can go back home. So everything that the government needs to do to ensure that they are safe, the aid workers are safe, as well as the IDPs are safe, please let them do it.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for your contribution on the program today. But that's all on Journalist Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on other platforms showing on the screen and on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Veronica Danik Boy. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.